Good morning, Osmonauts and friends. This is Kevin Barry. I am just waiting for this whole thing to pop off, and this is a heads up to let you know that we are here. Talk to you soon.
I think Dylan had something pop up.
Okay.
But George is here on Commonwealth. Yeah, so.
Okay, great. All right, Osmosis updates from the lab. We're doing it.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Sonny.
Good morning.
Hi, Justin. Hey, her.
Justin's with
Hey,
Gravity
George.
Bridge. And George is with Commonwealth. They'll be joining us today.
Awesome. Welcome.
Sonny's here, obviously, from Osmosis. I'm Eddie, or Dynamic Manic, and there's Kevin.
Yeah, also known as Kevin Dizzle.
So,
I'm excited.
Yes, it should be a good one. So I kind of wanted to start this off with maybe some Osmosis updates.
Let's do it.
Anything going on, Sonny, that you want to share with the wider community?
Yeah, so, we've just been, let's see, what have we been up to this week? I've been working on putting together a chain registry. So I just got that moved into the Cosmos GitHub repo. But if you go to like github.com/cosmos/chain registry, putting together like a place where every chain will have like metadata and like basically what's happening is there's so many chains launching now, and I'm losing track of like all of them, and so we need a place where like they're all sort of like organized. It makes it very easy for like validators and node operators and wallets and relayers to like get all the metadata they need in order to start running chains. So yeah, I've been working on putting that together. That will help like work on a lot of UX stuff for a lot of people. A lot of the dev team has been working on making improvements to like the performance of the nodes. So there's still like a lot of work that can be done on like improving some of the performance stuff, and so our team has been working heavily on that. The Beck32 IBC stuff I talked about last week, that's coming along quite well. That's approaching completion. And we're working with Justin's team on getting that in to the Gravity Bridge, and Gravity Bridge will probably be the first user of that feature. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah, I don't know what's been going on the community and governance side, guys.
Well, I just want to say that the fact that you couldn't remember all the chains, and so you're putting together this chain registry, to me is a wonderful sign because I feel like we want to go in the direction where there are so many chains participating that no one should be expected to keep them in their memory.
Yeah.
Like that's like it shouldn't be reliant upon can somebody remember how many chains. Like we should have like a database or a registry. So that's awesome. And I guess from our side, I know that Dylan, Eddie and I and other people who are working on community support stuff and trying to solve those problems. We don't have a chain registry, but we hit some points where we're like, we have enough things going on here where we have to improve our organization, like track our projects better. And so that again, it's like a threshold sign of like, okay, we've crossed the line here. We need to, it's hard to, there's more things going on now than I can just remember.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. How about you, Dynamic?
Yeah, I think it's getting a lot more organized. There's everybody was really clear they wanted a more detailed transparency sheets and stuff like that.
Oh
I
yeah.
think we're well on the way to having something maybe overly transparent.
Yeah,
But
dude. My here's my favorite thing about. So we're trying to like crack the nut of like how do we make a proposal for a DAO, whether it's a community support DAO or the marketing or whatever it might be. How can we ensure the transparency that people, we're concerned about? And then I was like, wait a second. Every transaction from a DAO like wallet or treasury is going to be on chain, and we can just write what it is in the memo. You guys can have like real-time transparency literally every time someone receives whatever pay for being an admin or whatever they're a grant for being a moderator or something. So it's like it's almost like too much like you said transparency, but at the same time like you don't get that in traditional finance or traditional like organizations.
yeah, I think it's really cool immersing ourselves inside of that world. It's been a big learning experience, and I'm really excited about the outcomes that are happening.
Yeah, there's
So,
a whole aspect to blockchain that's like it's not that it's a I just feel like there've been multiple scenarios where we've gone on like it's almost like a mystery investigation where like we need to let's look at the chain and see if we can find out what happened.
yeah,
And it's like it's kind of exciting like if you like mysteries.
yeah. Cool. So I guess that's what's going on with Osmosis currently. Let's talk to our guest. Justin, do you want to talk about Gravity Bridge? And
Sure, that sounds great. So Gravity Bridge is coming up on its launch in just a couple of weeks. Hopefully, obviously, that's a no earlier than date. And we are just now getting, so for context here, we have had an active testnet with 100 validators for coming up on 3 or 4 months now. But we sort of put a pause on testnet updates and decided to focus in on fixing the security audit issues and really optimizing for this Fetch32 IBC change and trying to integrate it deeply and get a lot of advantages out of it. So now we are just getting back into our final testnet campaign before we launch. And our goal is to launch with our goal is to launch with 100-ish validators, which will make this the most essentially the most decentralized active bridge, depending on how exact. Anyways, that is something of a controversial statement, I'm sure, but it can be backed up depending on how you treat the validators of certain other bridge designs. But that's just a start. Our goal for Cosmos Gravity Bridge is to go pretty high. I am hoping for 300 plus validators, sort of within a year of launch. To have an extremely decentralized and extremely secure bridge that is both flexible and efficient. And so, yeah, I am really excited that people can start to see how all the changes we've been making impact their use of the bridge and make new things possible.
That's
very
exciting.
cool. Yeah.
Wait, I have a question about, you said it's controversial. Was it the statement that
bridge design is super interesting, and everybody would like to say they have the most decentralized bridge. And I'll be giving a talk at ETH PDX about sort of like the decisions we made in the design of Gravity and how we focused on a radically simple, radically flexible design that is reusable by the Cosmos, that is both reusable by the Cosmos community and dramatically scalable for extreme security. So it's very, there's a lot to talk about there, and big sweeping statements. There's lots of nuance, there's lots of details.
Sure.
I find this really fascinating. So,
Sure.
I hope everybody will get the opportunity to listen to my talk and sort of see more of what the decision space looks like.
That's a ETH PDX?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Did you guys find the security issues that you're dialing in right now? Was that found in the audit contest that you guys did?
Yeah, the audit contest was actually really successful and produced a lot of great results. Now, So far, we have 2 audits, one by Informal and one contest audit by Code4Rena. And then we have an upcoming audit, which we'll talk more about once it's started, because we really decided to go all in on the security here and sort of grab as many audits as we could so that we can not only take the feedback from one audit, plow it into the code, and then have another audit review the changed version. So we just sort of have this continuous stream of auditing and review and changes in an attempt to build really the maximum possible security. Now, you asked about the contest audit. The results out of that were really great, but so far nobody has actually found a way to really steal funds from the bridge. There's been a lot of optimizations. There's been a couple of ways that the bridge could potentially get locked if there was an egregious error on the Cosmos side, which we've gone ahead and fixed anyways. Like lots of really unlikely bugs, but we have gone ahead and, not only re-engineered everything that could potentially cause those, so we've not only gone ahead and solved those bugs, but we've solved everything that could potentially cause them as well. So this really sort of comprehensive engineering effort around security has improved sort of the quality and efficiency of the code base. And also our testing suite has been pretty dramatically expanded. And we're now testing not only happy path cases, like does the bridge work, but we're simulating a group of validators attacking the chain and making sure that the chain survives.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's very insightful. I feel like the Gravity Bridge has been a bit of a black box to me, until the initial announcement about it coming, I guess, to the Cosmos ecosystem, but not necessarily the hub at first, which raised a lot of hackles, and there was all this controversial. People were up in arms.
Anyone can launch Gravity Bridge if they like.
Right.
So we're doing 2 things here. We're not only making our own chain with the goal of making it the most secure and the most operationally competent, but we're also releasing a very easy to use bridge. This isn't like a lot of other bridges, and this is really one of the key distinctions when you get into talking about all of the other bridges that are out there, is that they're not designed for generic use. They're not designed for just anybody from the ecosystem to come along and deploy. And Gravity Bridge is. And that is really the difference here. Now, of course, we hope that people will be able to use our Cosmos Gravity Bridge blockchain and use IBC and sort of have a great experience there. But there's an enormous amount of stuff you can do that's beyond just bridges with the flexibility you get, where you can build cross-chain applications. And we're really seeing a lot of chains use Gravity Bridge for that purpose as well. And we want them to. We want to make a tool that is flexible, like a Swiss Army knife, not some highly specialized thing that only one chain will ever get any use out of.
Right, like a grapefruit knife.
Yeah, I guess if we're going for knives, that's the comparison.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna, a Swiss Army knife can do a lot of grapefruit knife. I mean, half of us, we pull it out of the drawer and we're like, what is this for again? It's just for stabbing one fruit. Like, it's just, anyway, I'm not trying to be adversarial at all. I was raising the controversy to say that, I think that was a smokescreen, and behind which, as I suspected, a lot of exciting, cool things were happening. I just didn't know. I didn't know that you were making this adaptable tool that could create cross-chain applications, or it can be used by other parties. It's such a different approach from making, like you said, a one size fits one person, one chain, a solution. So I'm happy to hear of these developments, and I'm glad that no one's found a way to steal, funds from the bridge in your hackathon.
That's
hackathon. That's awesome.
yeah.
You said one thing. You said there were a couple of ways it could get locked, and then you fixed it, or maybe I misunderstood that. What did you mean by that?
Yeah. So updates to the validator set on the Ethereum side of the bridge are generated out of the consensus of the Cosmos side chain. So there were a few vulnerabilities where if the Cosmos side generated a like empty validator set or a validator set with a non-set to uint 256 max, you could just lock the bridge. You know, there'd be no way to get the funds out because you couldn't do anything after you uploaded an empty validator set, wouldn't accept anybody's signatures. Of course, for that to happen, consensus on the Cosmos side would have to be totally broken. I mean, you'd need 66% of validators to decide they want to burn all the money and like hard fork the chain to make that happen. But, you know, despite this being a pretty unlikely sort of vulnerability, we took the time to really comprehensively solve it and make it make it impossible for this sort of thing to happen. Even if the validators were to hijack the bridge, they still can't lock the funds without, there's still no easy way for them to lock the funds. There are some like 5-10 step ways for them to do it if they were really determined. But, you know, that's what we mean when we say comprehensive security fixes, you know, because like when you're doing high performance or industrial engineering or something like that, and there's an accident or there's a flaw, you don't say, okay, we're going to fix what caused the flaw. You fix every step leading up to it as well, and you make them all impossible.
That's a really good analogy. I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, because like in physical engineering, like mechanical engineering, like people die on oil. Like the flaws aren't just funds lost. It's like, you know, John lost his arm, or you know, it's like you gotta, yeah. So if you're approaching it with that kind of caution, it gives me some comfort.
Is this Tweetscape? I can't see your full. Did you have a question? I don't.
Can't hear him.
Oh,
yeah.
Go for it, Tweetscape.
It's okay.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions for Dustin? All right. Cool. Well, let's move on to Sonny. Do you have anything to chime in?
No. Other than that, you know, just really excited to get see it come live and hopefully get a lot more. You know, expand what Osmosis, like the reach of Osmosis to like more assets, but also just more potential users coming in from the Ethereum ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. Like, can we just to be clear for anyone who's listening, what this bridge means in however many weeks it's intended to be launched, that it will bridge Ethereum assets over to the Osmosis AMM.
Well,
trying to state the obvious here.
Cosmos ecosystem as a whole.
More generally, we're going to link Ethereum to IBC. Period.
To IBC. Okay. And so any chain in the Cosmos ecosystem can then link to the Althea bridge and provide those assets.
Yep.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah, I think I don't know. I want to make that clear. So it's not obviously not directly to Osmosis or anything. It's to the Cosmos ecosystem, and then any chain in the Cosmos ecosystem that's linked up to IBC can then bridge over Ethereum through the Althea bridge.
And it works both ways, right?
Yes. So you can deploy representations of Cosmos assets onto Ethereum. So you can get an ERC20 representation of your token once bridged to the chain. And there are a few ergonomics issues around that we're really going to try and polish during our testnet campaign. But yes, so it is possible to take Cosmos assets to Ethereum and Ethereum assets to Cosmos, and then bring them wherever you want them to go over IBC.
Okay, and so
the BEC 32 that Sonny is working on.
Yeah, so we're actually tightly integrating with that so that you can send tokens from Ethereum, air quotes, directly to another chain over IBC, which means that you send a transaction on Ethereum, and you never have to actually touch the Gravity Bridge chain because it will automatically forward your tokens to wherever they need to go, to your destination chain. So you only have to deal with 2 chains, even though you're using 3.
So this an example of this would be to send these Ethereum bridged over. Is there a proper term when you to talk about Ethereum when it's bridged into Cosmos? But I'm calling it bridged Ethereum. But
yeah, bridged Ethereum is right. Roughly how all cross-chain bridges work is that they lock up an asset on one side and mint a representation on another. So calling it bridged Ethereum is a really accurate representation of what you're handling on the other side. Is that you're handling a representation of the asset that you've locked up on the Ethereum side.
Okay, so let's just say, for example, you bridge Ethereum over to Althea, you send that Ethereum to Osmosis, then you get kind of, I don't know, impatient and you decide I'm going to send it to Emeris, and you don't ever have to go back to Althea. You can just go directly from Osmosis to Emeris to Food Chain or to whatever chain you want to go, just direct.
Yes, and this is really, really Sunny's brainchild, is a very easy way to move assets across chain, to sort of abstract away all of this IBC stuff so that we can get to the next level of using IBC, where we're not just, oh, it's possible to move tokens between chains, but to the point where you nearly don't even notice.
Right, like let's just actually move them, and so we have Sunny and Besh. Is it Besh or Beck 32? Because I feel like
Beck is generally agreed upon, I think.
Beck, okay.
But I mean, I'll forgive anything. There's a ton of tech acronyms which are impossible to pronounce.
Okay. We had two people who had questions. Kona?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, so I joined late. Is this similar to the injective bridge?
The injective bridge is actually based off of an earlier version of Gravity Bridge. So they have made many contributions to upstream, some good bug reports. So Venkatesh from their team is actually, I consider him to be the top vulnerability reporter we have. He's been a really excellent community member and helpful. So yeah, I was talking earlier about how Gravity Bridge is a generic tool, and chains like Injective are already using it that way to build, cross-chain applications, in addition to just, the sort of giant bridge that we're launching.
Okay, thank you.
Nissan, did you have a question?
Hi, yes. Good night, everyone. The question was comparing it to the cross token bridge to like what something like SwiftChain does. Is it an apples for apples thing, or is two different ways that you guys are looking to implement?
Yeah, so that's a good question. The SwiftChain bridge works significantly differently from Gravity internally, but roughly does the same thing at the end of the day. So I could spend a lot of time comparing the pros and cons of different designs, which is why I've been sort of talking up my ETH PDX talk, because I'm really excited to spend an hour talking your ear off about that. But in general, they do similar things in slightly different ways. So I'll just leave it at that for now.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Fantasy, I'll take one more question, and then I want to get over to George from Commonwealth. Go ahead.
Who are you saying to go ahead?
Fantasy?
Oh.
They had a question.
I don't see Fantasy.
Okay, they might have gotten disconnected.
It's possible. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, wait, I do see him. They're just not the speaker.
I see him in the speaker category. You're just
please.
muted. Try unmuting yourself. But, Twitter Spaces still has a few issues to work out as far as getting the mic to work. I haven't seen anybody do it right on their first try.
That's fine. We can come back to it later. Let's get to George Bell. Is that how you say your last name?
Beal. But
Beal.
yeah,
George
close
Beal.
enough.
Yeah.
What's up, George? Pretty good. How you guys doing? So far, so good.
So George is from the Commonwealth team, and we've been using Commonwealth for our governance, with putting up proposals, getting feedback in the forums.
Yeah. So, yeah, very important forum for us
Yeah.
on Osmosis. It's like a game. Without it, we wouldn't function, I think.
Not as well.
No, not as well, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we're excited to be helping you guys, and really love everything you guys are building. So, glad just to be part of it. So, I mean, I'd say general sort of updates and comments on our side. So, you guys' forums going really well. Generally there's a lot of good activity, and the community is continuing to onboard to it. I'd say with the proposal process, there were some initial bugs when we had originally launched. Just it wasn't quite as intuitive. So we have been rolling out updates there to improve the proposal process. Beyond that, I think one of the initiatives that we're starting to work on with some of our key partners, and we'd really like to work on with you guys, is being a bit more active in your proposal and governance process. So with that, sort of thinking of us as like delegates in a sense, similar to how some of the members of the Compound and Aave and Uniswap grants committee and governance committees are very active in developing the protocol. So I think it'd be really good to hear a little bit more from the core team and the community about major initiatives you guys want to push forward. If you guys have considered doing any kind of grants program, and how we can continue to flesh out your governance process.
I think that's really interesting because we're actually having a talk with the proposed community DAO that we're trying to build about which I did see on Commonwealth, DAOs must die.
Dang, dude, I did not catch
what?
that.
It was like an update they put out. I was unaware that you could view whale transfers also. That's a feature.
Wait, what do you mean view whale transfers?
Right. It was a feature that was. I gotta find it. Anyway, I'm getting off track there.
Wait,
so
you're saying that's
the
a
grant
feature
program that
of
we're trying
Commonwealth?
to roll out for the community DAO would be like how to get Osmo over to somebody who's modding for us, or how to allocate some Osmo to push like the development of the landing page. And yeah, so how could Commonwealth help with that?
Gotcha. Yeah. So I mean, I think an easy solution there. We'll just have to sort of work with you guys' engineering team and ours. Would be putting together a sort of like bounty program. So I think we've seen this work very well with substrate projects, where like Edgeware or Hydra DX, for instance, will put up either tips, which are community funded, or bounties, which are treasury funded, for anything ranging from a very small UX issue to something much larger, or just sort of continued, call it payroll, in support of moderators and whatnot.
Well, that's cool.
So I think that's an aspect that we can get added to your guys's like sidebar. So right now you have like discussions, members, and proposals. So we can get another sort of widget inputted there to help with doing those sort of funding initiatives. Another thing, I mean, I would recommend that I think we've seen works very well in the ETH land, are getting community support behind specific kind of grants programs. So like Aave, Compound, Uniswap have created a grants committee of different legitimized third parties, and then allocated like I think Aave did $1 million, I think Compound did 2 million USD for investing in various different initiatives. And so when they initially started the program, they listed out what these were, ranged everything from events and hackathons to actual like major core development. And so then everyone from some guy putting together an event to like Gauntlet doing research and auditing can receive these different DAO grants. And then they also add in specific rules around the capacity. So I believe it's like anything under 50K USD can be automatically approved by the grants committee. Anything like 50 to 100, I think requires them to make a post in the community, but the grants committee can still approve it. And then anything over 100K actually requires a community vote. Just so that way, again, it's you're setting sort of different tiers of rules to prevent, the grants committee just kind of going wild.
Right. Wait, I have a question about the grants. Like, who makes up in this example, or working with Commonwealth, who would comprise the grants committee?
So this would be chosen by the community. So I mean, for instance, like I think Aave's, for instance, the like head of it is like Shreyas, the like founder of Llama. They have a couple different people from like Blockchain Capital, I think Delphi Digital. I think so different VCs and like founders of like well-respected companies.
Okay, and
yeah,
then like
so
the fund like if they voted, so let's say someone had like a whatever 20K grant request, and then they said we approve, would Commonwealth like thumbs up the transaction, or like would that be a place where like a DAO would say, okay, we'll send the funds? Or
yeah, so it would be a multi-sig.
Gotcha. Yeah. So in theory, that could work with like a proposed multi-sig, like with Osmosis is putting up with the marketing DAO or the community support DAO, where like it's like the DAO members wouldn't even be the ones approving requests for funds. They would just, once they were approved by the community, they would just say, okay, we sign this, and the money goes out.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, it's like if it's like a 25K transaction, the committee can just, vote like immediately on the multi-sig. If it's like an 100K transaction, they would do a community vote. And then based on those results, they would vote accordingly on the multi-sig.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool. We should be utilizing a function like that a lot more in the coming days.
Yeah, I think that's like, as I understand it, the whole vision of progressive decentralization is like, that is 100% the direction that we need to be going in. Like the community should have the reins. So it's really cool that that Commonwealth will have that capability to help us make that happen.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the DAO's must have been back in July that I saw that. Because now I'm seeing a blog about the upsides of DAOs and the global benefit.
Right.
This is a blog, actually.
Not quite sure where the DAOs must die thing came from.
Wait, it was almost like
if you find it, please shoot it my way.
Yeah, I will. I think I found it in your Telegram at one point.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it was from July.
I mean, was that like just like a comment, or was that a post?
It was like just talking about the different functionality of Commonwealth, and one of it was DAOs must die, community based, and it was just like focusing on the governance aspect.
Like further decentralization.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's good. That's good clickbait.
Yeah, it got me.
Yeah, sounds like maybe our marketing team was having a little fun. But
They're all high fiving now because we're still talking about it.
exactly. It worked. They got us. But no, I mean, I would say, especially with sort of this like move towards decentralization, one of the trade-offs, that we've seen personally with Edgeware. So, quick background: team that developed Commonwealth also developed Edgeware, which was the first smart contract platform in Polkadot. And at this point is fully decentralized, has a pretty active community. There does become a point where there's almost like too many cooks in the kitchen. And so I think it is important to have, trusted members that are able to help guide the community and provide some sort of leadership, but while managing their power. Otherwise, it becomes a little bit messy, and then you don't see quite as much progress. So, with that, with Edgeware, one of the issues that we've sort of been working on over the last year or so has been, how do we actually start to get people aligned on sort of a central goal, and what, we're trying to actually implement. And so I think it really helps to balance that community discussion to source, what is the direction that the community is looking to move in? What are those key initiatives? And then how do you find trusted people to help make that a reality? In terms of, at the end of the day, like if you're looking for a third party to come in and develop, core functionality, maybe, it's like Gravity Bridge for you guys. You need somebody to get out there and sort of, actively be sourcing those like requests for proposals. If you sort of just leave it up to, oh, well, the community will do it. No one really does. It's almost that like tragedy of the commons issue.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point as a counter. Like, I love the ideas and the vision of a more community-owned process for sure. But then I also know that, especially when you're in the early days and somebody is like, who's going to do the accounting? Can we just throw it? There's a group of 7,000 people. Can we just toss this on the Telegram and someone's going to do all the accounting? Cool. No. Like, people are not clamoring after doing the boring shit, the stuff that nobody wants to, like, all of a sudden 7,000 people don't care, so it's like, it's like until you, especially in the beginning, like specific people have to just step up and say, I'll take care of that. I know no one wants to do it, but like, I'll do it. And so I there's this weird balance. Like, I don't know. I've just seen many processes, especially creative processes, especially ones like launch, you look at all these, every startup on the planet, was like started by like one woman in her family's garage, like it, or two friends, or it's like, there's a reason why it's a simple, small, agile team in the beginning. And now I don't know how many people work at Google, but it's more than two. So it's like, anyway, it's a good counterpoint.
Yeah. So, go for it.
Oh no, I was going to bring up a question somebody had, and I think they're just a little stage shy. They want to know if you guys have a token coming up.
So we are looking to decentralize the protocol. Ultimately, we're looking to launch that here, hopefully within the next 3 to 6 months. I'd say that's definitely no sooner than, but we are making pretty good progress. In terms of the token, I would say it's likely that we will have one, but we don't want to commit to anything just yet, especially with sort of, the SEC cracking down on things.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense.
Is it me or does SEC is just so close to just calling it suck, but it's sec. They're so close, you know?
Yeah.
I have a question. This is kind of apropos of almost nothing, but when I met Eddie, I guess on Osmosis and Telegram, like in the I think it was in the Ion working group, he wrote a proposal about the Ion, the Commonwealth of Ion. We were trying to think of like how this like chain that's kind of like, I don't know if it's a child chain or it's just like a token on the Osmosis chain. How do we describe its community? And we were using the term Commonwealth, and we got in this not a huge debate. To me, it was a debate because I care too much about words. And and then at some point, someone was like, "Yeah, there's a discussion for the proposals on Commonwealth," and I'm like, "Holy crap! Did Eddie build that?" Like, because he was definitely on the side of like, let's put Commonwealth in our description. It's perfect. It's Commonwealth. It's shared wealth. That's what we're talking about. And I was like, no, the Commonwealth that's the end. That's like the post-British Empire trying to mollify all their, ex-colonies. He's like, no, dude, no one cares about that. Anyway, we got in this whole debate, and it turns out you guys existed the whole time. Like, did you plan that, Eddie? Like, what the hell?
No, I honestly, I think Sonny brought up Commonwealth before me.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very old friend of Dylan, who's the founder of the company. I remember when he was first ideating on sort of governance as a service back in like 2017, 2018, when, absolutely no one was really caring about governance. And he mentioned, sort of the name Commonwealth. And it just works on so many levels.
It's a great name.
So yeah, it's a really great name.
Very suiting for Ion too, because the whole perimeters for the airdrop of Ion was based off governance and delegation. So.
I just rhetorically had to, as with anything, you can go onto Wikipedia and find a counterpoint. Yeah, and I found people like critics of the British, what was left of the British Empire being like, if there wasn't a Commonwealth, it wouldn't need to be invented. Or it was like a bunch of guys shafting the institution of Anyway, I'm
really excited to explore the DAO route with Commonwealth.
Yes,
so it's going to be accessible.
The collaboration is
we
awesome.
Could put like a community DAO spend proposal, just submit it there and let the poll voting happen, and boom, it's out the door.
Yeah, so there will be a little bit of infrastructure that needs to get built out just to support you guys. But that's definitely something, we would love to work on with you. So, like with that, there's, a few different ways to structure it. Substrate has some of these modules built out. So I'd say we can sort of look to replicate some of those governance structures. So if you go to like Edgeware community on Commonwealth, you can sort of see some of them in action. So like with treasury proposals, those will automatically action, and so you can delegate who is the receiver of the funds, how many funds it is, tie that to a democracy proposal, and then if the community passes the democracy proposal, the treasury proposal will get actioned and disperse the funds from the treasury. So you can, do that. You can also do bounty tip systems. And then we definitely would be really interested in working around building a grant structure with, some sort of multi-sig functionality as well. So yeah, I think all of that's really good. And then especially, whether or not we're on, any sort of committee, we definitely want to work with you guys on generating your RFPs, and generally, figure out what are those areas that you guys want to bring in more community development, and, how can we help with that process?
We need help. Not need, but like we're 100% open to help from experienced concerned parties. So that's Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all really exciting.
I want to clarify one thing because I don't know if I might have said it on a previous call. I had a conversation with a friend about I was saying, like, why don't you guys get on a Commonwealth discussion about our, proposal? And he was like, I don't want to dox myself, dude. And I don't know if it was Eddie or Sonny, was like, you don't have to dox yourself to like comment on Commonwealth. Like, so I don't know why I thought that was true. You could use your main wallet as like your whatever identifier and sign in on that and put your name, but you could also just use any email that you whip up, and then it assigns you a wallet that you never have to put Osmo into necessarily. So there is no doxing process. It's just it connects whatever username you create to a, I don't know, disposable wallet
Yeah.
if needed. And so anyway, I just want that to be clear to anybody who's listening who's like, yeah, I don't get on Commonwealth because I don't want to like, invite the entire universe to look into my bank account. Guess what? You don't have to do that, bro.
Yeah, 100%. So, there's a few levels in which you can sort of mask your identity. So number one, yeah, we allow login with your wallet as well as email or also your GitHub. So
Right.
you can go some routes to mask your wallet. Additionally, you could even end up having sort of two accounts. So you could create one with your main wallet that you use to go vote on proposals, and then another one that you use for discussions. So if you wanted to whip up sort of two Kepler wallets, that's something that we have seen people do before. And then additionally, you are able to set your username, profile picture, bio, whatever, to anything you want. So especially like if you go on the platform, you'll notice a lot of people just have anonymous. That's what the initial setting for the name is. So, if you want to leave it that, change it to, just some random string of characters. You can. So then, maybe if you don't care about sort of doxing your wallet, but you don't want to, connect your wallet with any sort of identity, you can go that route as well.
I just feel like it would be one thing I want to work on with whether it's marketing DAO or with you guys is like some kind of documentation or very like simple encapsulated way of saying, hey, the barrier to entry here to like join the discussion is as low as it could possibly be, without being like, essentially saying welcome trolls.
Yeah.
Will, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. And it was just along the lines of we'd been talking about the bridge and about IBC. And now that we're discussing Commonwealth, it just makes me think about governance forums across the Cosmos community. And I've been really loving using the Commonwealth platform for osmosis. I was just wondering, is Commonwealth being used on other Cosmos chains right now? What kind of plans do you guys have for expansion? I know a number of communities use Discourse, and I see some advantages to some of the features that Commonwealth offers. So yeah, just wanted, if you want to share anything about the kind of bigger picture of other places Commonwealth is being utilized or would like to be, and also like, is there kind of a place for like meta connectivity of like, are there forums where we'd want to have kind of multiple I don't know. I'm from Regen, so I'm thinking like, where are the places where Regen conversation is overlapping with osmosis conversation? So yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and very, very topical. So
we love Regen.
Yeah, love you guys' product. So generally, we are making a full expansion to the entire blockchain ecosystem. So, very, very big picture that includes Solana, Celo, Cosmos, and like the larger Cosmosm ecosystem, as well as, Polkadot, ETH, etc. So from there, in terms of much more actionable within Cosmos, so we already have support for Osmosis and Ion. We also have sort of as a tangential injective. And then from there, we're working with, I believe, Sif Chain and what are the other ones? Oh boy, sorry, there's a lot of ones in our backlog right now. Do Stargaze, there we go. Yeah, so we're working with Stargaze and SifChain right now, actively to get them onboarded. But we would love to, bring on the entire ecosystem. So especially, anyone that, is interested in using Commonwealth, feel free to point them my way. And we can get them all set up. So from there, in terms of sort of the cross-chain discussion, that's something that we're actively building out right now. Hopefully we'll be able to have some of this functionality displayed within the next 3 months or so. What that sort of looks like is one, creating global profile pages that users can opt into. And so what that would look like is, realistically, no one's really a member of only one community. There's, at least a few that you want to participate in. And so then you can start to aggregate all of your different community activity from these different ecosystems onto one profile page. So that way, especially if you're an active delegate in Osmosis, but you're also an active delegate in, say, like Uniswap, maybe it's important to be sharing that information so that way people can learn a little bit more about your total global views. We're also going to be working on a user feed where you can start to explore all of the content from your different ecosystems in one place, and start to see, all of this tying together. In terms of more explicit sort of cross-pollination, that is a very big topic that we're focusing on. I'd say, sort of like our step one right now is getting everybody onboarded, and creating full support for the entire blockchain ecosystem. But then, the very next lead up to that is, okay, we have all of these different communities. How can we start to get them working together? Obviously, many of the communities are having very similar discussions. Even just like sort of the topic of like a grants DAO, marketing DAO, or something like that. Pretty much every community is having that conversation. So how can we start to have that be a larger conversation, where the different communities can work together. So if you guys have ideas there, would really love any sort of feedback.
Awesome. Thanks so much, George. I just followed you here on Twitter, and we can talk more soon.
Yeah, definitely. Shoot me a message.
Good question. I can't. So my mind just kind of broke for a second there, where you were saying that basically this would be like the anti-Telegram group, where like you would have like the Venn diagram of the Telegram groups that you're in or something.
Yeah.
Ostensibly.
I mean, generally, our sort of thesis is, right now, like governance is like currently done via Telegram, Discord, Discourse, if communities use it. None of those communities have your profiles, connected. So, you can have different identities on all of them, and then no one really knows that like it's actually just like one whale with 10 different anon accounts in your Telegram, like trying to drive a discussion in their own interest.
Right. Like human beings are actually interchain.
Yeah. And then
so our conversations should be, it would be, it might be nice to be able to have them that way.
Yeah. So there's that. And then also, the discussion threads on these different platforms are pretty hard to track. You maybe have a channel in your Discord or, in your Telegram, no channels, nothing. You just have like a string of like 10 different conversations going on.
Right.
And so then when it actually goes to a governance vote, it's pretty hard to track. and go back and like refer to the conversation and be like, oh wait, it's actually just this one guy who like made this one proposal kind of come about.
Right.
Is that a question?
I don't want to like stop your flow here, but you just raised this point that for me, it's like, it's the one thing that's in bold text on my notes, which is here's a sticking point for me with Commonwealth. When there was a previous, I think it was the DAO, the support DAO proposal, there was this like, I don't know about heated, but active discussion on Commonwealth for a couple of months. And then when it went on chain on the GitHub list, I think, or Git list, it just completely separated from that discussion, and a new discussion started as if no one had ever talked about it before. And I was like, somehow I want to work with Commonwealth to make sure that we don't forget the past, or even like, yes, what happened yesterday, so to speak.
Yeah. Totally makes sense. I'd say, especially with that, doing like linking different threads, and I think that would come in with sort of having some active moderators or admins, who really understand the tool, and are able to do a lot of this cross-linking. Also, one thing that I'd recommend for you guys is building out your topics and pinned posts.
Okay.
So you guys don't currently use those features, but that helps you start to bucket conversations a little bit better. So that way you can have, like, Edgeware uses a lot of working groups. So, as like a base chain, they'll do like a working group for NFTs, for DeFi, for crypto social, or whatnot, as well as like broader topics for proposals, general discussion, etc.
Right.
And so that firstly sort of helps navigating this like massive abyss of like conversation a little bit easier, and then utilizing pin posts also can help get people a little bit more oriented into what's going on. And then from there, community admins, if posts come up that have already, been brought up, they can easily link to the original proposal, maybe reach out to the community member. So that's even another feature that one's probably about 6 months out. But our infrastructure supports...
Which feature?
About to tell you. Yeah. So our infrastructure supports pretty much communication. And so doing sort of like DMs, we don't have it currently fleshed out on the site, but that's going to be something that will come out. So, in this sort of scenario you painted, community admin could make a post, say like, here's the original thread, could shoot the person a message, say like, hey, here's the original thread. Maybe you wait a day or two, just like, allow everyone to read it, and then you could take down that post.
Right.
And so that way you can help keep the forum pretty clean.
It's a great idea. We need to get on top of that.
Don't want to cut it short, but I know we have an Osmosis meeting to start.
Man, I wanted to hear about how you can view whale transfers, but I guess we'll do that next time.
Yeah. I want to thank Justin from Gravity Bridge, George from Commonwealth for coming.
Yeah, thank you. You guys were great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Is Justin going to share when he's doing that ETH deep dive?
Oh, what time was that?
It's ETH. It's going to be at ETH PDX, the conference, and I believe the recording will be posted, although it will not be live streamed, unfortunately.
Okay.
And that's it. And that's towards the end of this month.
Cool.
Okay. So you'll share it on like your Twitter or
Twitter, YouTube, etc.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, thank you guys. That was insightful, and I have way more questions than we had time for. I'm sure other people did too. So hopefully people can like chime in on Twitter and ask those questions, and maybe some of them can be addressed.
I think there is
line.
There's a Twitter space going on, right?
All right.
Oh yeah, there should be maybe